would you trade for Justin Fields? What would you be willing to give up for Justin Fields? Would you go after a free agent? Does Kenny deserve more time, with a real coordinator? Not that he's had any yet, really. Does he deserve time with an actual coordinator, Ron?
Yeah, but we're not going to get to see it this year.
Right, so that would be next year.
That would be next year. I mean, I truly think he will be the quarterback, barring injury. And now with him, I feel like I got to say that, barring injury on opening day next year.
Folsey, do you think he deserves time next year with a real coordinator, or should they go after somebody this offseason?
Deserves, I think, is a big word. I would put myself in position where he is at least competing for his job next year.
Jerry Dulac reported today that the Steelers contemplated a quarterback change.
Where was that at, Joe? I didn't see that. Where did he report? Is it in the Post-Gazette story? Or?
No, on the radio.
On the radio, okay.
That they contemplated a quarterback change. So if they were contemplating that already with this guy, why wouldn't they contemplate a bigger one in the offseason? I think they actually would.
I think so. I mean, if you are considering
they discussed
benching the guy healthy,
yeah, right.
Then why would you set yourself up for next year?
You wouldn't discuss it if you were absolutely convinced he was your guy,
or if you were just simply committed to the process of finding out.
Look at that! I can't believe they're the top wild card still.
I know.
That's unbelievable.
Is it though, Ron? 44% of the teams make the playoffs.
Look at that Houston at 7-5.
Yeah, Bills 6-6.
You're not giving up on them, are you?
Oh, they're a game out.
Those Buffalo
They're one
Bills.
game out with the best quarterback of any of those teams.
How about Green Bay now back in the picture? Who would have thought that?
Not me. And as I said at the top of the show, I'd much rather be a Packer fan right now than if I were a Steeler fan.
Because you got your guy.
Yeah, I couldn't care less. I mean, I'd love to get to the playoffs, but I'm excited if I'm a Packer fan about Jordan Love.
Boy, did he look good last night, huh?
He's looked good for 2 months, practically. I thought he looked good. Yeah, I thought he was really good.
I think our guy Guy Lafleur deserves some credit as well for sticking with him and getting the best out of him, it seems.
It's nice to have a quarterback or a coach who can develop a quarterback.
Yeah.
I'll bet you liked the weather conditions in Green Bay last night, huh? Looked a little bit
good.
chilly there. You like that outdoor inclement weather, right?
It was a great game, too. Yeah. I'd much rather
Can we talk about the end of that game a little bit?
Yeah, coming up for sure.
Go around the league?
Yeah, I'd much rather have my quarterback situation settled than be trying to scrape around for a playoff spot. Much rather.
I agree.
I'd rather be, like I said, if I were 2-10, but I knew I had my quarterback, I'd feel great. Or I knew I could get one, I'd feel great. The Steelers are they're in limbo
Spinning
here.
their wheels.
They're just in limbo without a future at the position.
Stuck in the mud.
How many franchises have we seen do this where they can't get anywhere because the quarterback situation is not settled?
Right.
Cleveland,
and being 7-5
is the all-time example of that.
Being 7-5 isn't going to help you settle one. At least Cleveland had shots at it. They just blew it. They took wrong guys. They didn't have talent around them. I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't know what they should do. But I'd be looking for somebody to compete for that job going into next training camp.
That's what they should do. They should bring somebody in who's legitimately going to test Kenny Pickett for his job.
Do you think David Tepper is a big Mike Tomlin fan?
I don't know.
You think he would trade for him? He's been through 6 coaches.
Do you think Mike Tomlin would be interested in working for David Tepper?
Would he have a choice if they traded for him?
I don't know. He might have a non-movement clause as far as I know.
Like Malkin? I don't know.
Yeah. Tepper changes coaches the way men change socks.
That's right, which is why he would probably want to get him.
And it would also
Mike
probably
Tomlin.
overpay for him too.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I think that's a real question this offseason. I think this is a time for me, as a matter of fact, where you decide either long term or no long term from both of these guys. You forget
Could you imagine next year, maybe March before the draft, we come in here to work and there's a report. The Steelers have just traded Mike Tomlin to Carolina. Yeah. Would you think that would be a hell of a story, a news day that day?
Little bit. I mean, forget about the 1-year thing or let's move ahead and see what, let's see what happens next year. It's time to either for both sides to say we're going to do this long term again, or maybe we should just go our separate ways. Maybe we should. It's been 17 years. That's 2 years longer than Cowher, right?
I think Cowher was 14, wasn't he? Or was
14
he
or 15,
Might
yeah.
have been 15. 92 to 06 through 06.
Yeah, something like that.
15.
What do you guys think of that?
Oh, I don't think there's any question that, shelf life can expire and, that maybe, you lose your edge after so long. I think maybe that happened to Cowher. Maybe even happened to Chuck Noll way back in the day.
Has it happened with Tomlin?
I don't know. I think you can make a case that it has.
It feels like to me his future should have been, related to how the Canada and Pickett things went. Well, one didn't go well,
And the
and the
other
other's
one may
not.
not.
Yeah. I mean, on what grounds would he deserve another contract extension this offseason?
I don't know. The pandemic year went well in some ways. They were 12-4 before they got eviscerated in the playoffs.
Eviscerated. Woo.
Other than that,
Where was that?
Duquesne.
Duquesne.
Other than that, we've seen 9-6-1, 8-8, 9-7-1, 9-8, and 7-5. So what are we talking about here, Ron?
What are we talking about?
Do you still stick to your position that he's a top? That you wouldn't argue someone if they said he was a top 3 coach in the league?
Well, it's getting pretty hard to say that. I'd still probably say top 5, but
Then why would you want to part ways with a top 5
I didn't
coach?
say that I wanted to part ways with him. Did I ask?
No,
Did
but
I say is it possible that they will come to that? Maybe.
At what point is a playoff winless season too much? And at what point do we look at this and say 9-6-1, 8-8, 9-7-1, 9-8, 7-5? I mean, I contended in a column today that it's the franchise history that makes people look at these Steelers differently. That, and they're always a flagship enterprise here in the NFL. More eyeballs watch them. Their fans go into other stadiums and commandeer the place. They have a little bit of a different, I don't know what the word
Aura,
is.
maybe.
Yeah, about them. But they're living off that now. If they were the LA Chargers and had this same string of seasons, nobody would talk about them. Nobody.
You're right.
Look at it. They had the 1 year where they got off to an unbelievable start and then crumbled as badly as any Steeler team maybe we've ever seen. That 2020 team. They lost 5 of their last 6
4
games.
out of 5 in the regular season.
And other than that, what have they done for a long period of time?
The 2018 team crumbled down the stretch, too.
Yes, they
They
did.
were 7-2-1, right?
They had a 2.5 game lead in the division. I get that you don't want to make knee-jerk reactions when you think you have a good coach.
I guess I'd see, you said his future was so much tied to Canada and Pickett.
Yeah.
I guess I want to see if the Pickett isn't the man for sure. And if he isn't, then I can't advocate keeping Tomlin.
Do you want to sacrifice a season for that?
You might have to now if you still believe in him. I mean, because I don't think he's going to be able to come back, and even if he comes back, how good is he? I mean, physically capable, how is he going to be?
The Steelers
It's a tough
will
injury, you would think, to
absolutely-
come back.
Yeah, they'll absolutely run it back again next year. Tomlin has 1 year left on his deal, technically, right?
I'm not so sure. I think that's their idea, but I'm not so sure they won't bring in competition.
They might.
No, they might, because they're going to need a third quarterback.
They might. But
Well, what form do you think the competition would take? It ain't Mitch Trubisky or Mason Rudolph. I'm talking a second-round pick, something like that. Legit competition. I mean, if what Dulac said is correct, they've already thought about replacing this guy in the middle of a season. What if they already know, Ron? I mean, Mike Tomlin is obviously a very sharp football observer. All these guys are. Terrell Austin, even Matt Canada. They've been around the game of football their whole lives. Do you think they would know by now if Kenny Pickett can play? And what if they don't think he can?
Man, it would take I think it would take Tomlin really flexing his muscles to do something that historically the organization, I think, is
Like
done
fire a
slowly.
coordinator for the first time in 83 years? Like trade a first-round pick?
whether
Like
he
spend
did
a lot of
that,
money in free
Whether
agency?
he did that or not, I'm still not convinced that was his call.
Me neither, but they seem to be bucking a lot of trends lately.
You're right.
Do you think Mike Tomlin in his private moments sits there in the film room by himself or at home and thinks to himself,
We
man,
blew it with this pick.
Man, I made the right pick with Kenny Pickett. We're set here.
I don't think he possibly
Or do you think
could.
there's grave doubt?
There's grave doubt.
I would guess grave doubt.
I mean, he admitted it so much in the press conference when even that first question. I forget who asked it, but he's talking about Kenny Pickett and if is he missing throws down the field, and he agreed. He said there have been opportunities missed in the passing game. I mean, you can't deny it.